Today, I am going to walk you through how you could navigate to the user interface of MS Project, as well as how you're going to set it up before we begin developing the schedule of a particular project. So I want you to go ahead and launch your project app. What you have to do is just go into the start button and find the project app. All right, so once you launch it, what I want you to do is just open a blank project. Now, this is my user interface as I launch the MS project. It might be a little bit different from what you have depending on the size of your screen. And one thing that probably more notable is the presence of what we call the view bar. Now, if you don't have this one, I am going to walk you through how you could bring this out so that it allow you later on to toggle back and forth from different views. But first, let me walk you through the user interface. Now, you will notice here on the upper left corner of your window, this is what we call the quick access toolbar, allowing the user to access some of those features of your computer. Otherwise, you could also add more function that are commonly used by you as a user rather than trying to find them somewhere else on your user interface. Now we have some of those. You could add more comments if you wanted. So again, that is what we call the quick access toolbar. Following that are the standard toolbar that are common to most window-based applications. And each of these different toolbar here, it gives you a different what we call ribbon areas. So this is the ribbon right below the standard toolbar. Now, prior to 2004, this is what we call the menu bars, okay, because it gives you a drop-down menus for you to be able to find some of those functions. After that, 2005, beginning 2005, you already have what we call the ribbon. So anything that is below the standard toolbar, those are ribbons. And each of these ribbons are divided into various groups. Say, for example, if you are in the task tab, you will notice that you have all these different groupings to which each of those functions are grouped according to the uh, relationship to one another. So each of these group has a different function that can offer the users that are being incorporated to each of those tasks that will be used later on. So we have resource tab and it has corresponding related uh, functions that are also being grouped together. Okay, so we have task, resource, report, project, and view. As I've said a while ago, each of these tab are have different ribbons, and within the ribbons are being divided into a various group. Then underneath that we have the timeline, as they call it. Okay, this will give you the specific locations of where you at in your project. That's why they call it the a timeline. The other thing that I want to emphasize is the default view, which means that as you launch your MS project, it will always give you whatever the default that you created. You can change. Now, if you haven't been into MS project, by default, you have two areas that are showing up into your window. We have this as the table, as they call it. That's where you're going to enter your various tasks, the durations, and the predecessors. And the second area, and this right side, this is what we call the chart areas, or commonly known as the view areas. Now, this area here on the left, this is what we call as the navigational toolbar, commonly known as the view bar. If you don't have this one, what I want you to do is bring your cursor all the way to the left area into that gray area on the left side of your screen. And what you do is just right click it, and I want you to check that view bar options in it, and it will pop up while this navigational toolbar on your left. All right, so the next things that we are going to do now is to customize your units or some of your options depending on the requirements of your company. So what you need to do is go into the file tab, and then I want you to go all the way to the bottom that says options. All right, and it gives you some of those different tab that allows you to change and customize according to the requirement of your company. So by default, this is what I'm telling you a while ago. By default view is the Gantt with the timeline. Okay, you can change that if you want to change that depending on, again, on the requirement of your company. The other thing is the date format. If you are following a certain date format, especially if you will be working with projects that are outside of the United States, you may need to follow whatever the uh, time format or date format that they are using. The most important thing that I want to walk you through is the schedule tab. You can go each of these to change some of those units if you wanted. By default, we're using the dollar symbol if you are in the United States, but you can change this into a other character, right, depending on the project that you will be working on. If you are a new user of the MS Project, one thing that I usually emphasize is on the schedule tab. As you go in, well, you have, depending again on the country that you will be working on, but by default, the start of the week is Sunday. Okay. Fiscal year starts in January. There are several other countries that they usually use a fiscal year in July, which is at the middle of the year. The default start time for works is at 8. You can change that to 9 a.m. to 6 if you wanted. It's an 8 hours and a 40 hours a week. And then, of course, one thing that I usually emphasize is under the new task created. Because you are a newbie in MS Project, I usually encourage my students to change this one before they begin any entering of tasks and durations and predecessors. I usually advise them to use and change this to auto schedule. Okay, so that the computer will automatically adjust and calculate some of those numbers for your early start, early finish, late start, late finish, as well as the flow time. So again, what I want you to do anytime that you start any project, make sure that you're going to check that by going into the file, option, and then go into the schedule tab. Make sure that you're going to make it to auto schedule. Okay, so and that allows you to uh, make the computer calculate some of those numbers. So once you've done, just click OK. The other thing that I want you to do is provide information about the project. So what you to do is just go into the file, okay, and then go into project information. um, go into the info area here, and then I want you to go into project information, and then I want you to click advanced properties. Here it allows you to, this is a dialog box here, allow you to enter the name of the project that you're working on. Say in my case, let me just put example, and then depending on what's the subject, you could put in residential, commercial, industrial, or building construction. If you are the project manager, you could enter your name, whatever the company that you are working on, and some other characteristics that will associate into your project. So once you enter the information, I want you to just click OK. So again, for you to be able to have this one showing up, what to do is you go to the File tab. Then I want you to go into the Info options, and then I want you to go that says Project Information, Advanced, and then go into the Summary tab. You have several other tabs here that you may want to explore and provide some informations as well. And once you've done that, just click OK. All right, and then go back. The next thing you have to do now is to set up your calendars. Why is that? Every project are unique. They are being built or started in a different point in time. And along the year, throughout the year, there are several national holidays to where some of your workers will not be working. So in that case, you may need to declare some of those holidays. And to do that, you just need to go into the calendar by going into the project tab. Once you are in the project tab and the properties group, okay, remember that each of these tab has a corresponding ribbon, and within the ribbon, they are divided into different groups. So in our case, we'll be working on into the project tab and the properties group, and then click the change working time. So in the change working time, you may need to create a new calendar that will be shaded into the project that you're working on. So in my case, just to be consistent, I am going to name that as an example and make a copy of the standard and then click OK. Now you will notice here now at the top, rather than the standard calendar, you created a calendar here. So in that case, we can now start creating holidays. Say for example, you have New Year Day, and you can begin in January. Okay, so go back January the 1st, it's Monday, of course. Also January the 1st. So just select that, and then of course Martin Luther King MLK Day, and usually that is the third week, third Monday of the month of January. So usually in my for 2024, that is January the 15th. Okay, January the 15th. Following that is the Memorial Day, which is the third last Monday of the month of May. So what to do is just find May, so the last Monday of the month of May. Following the Memorial Day is the Independence. This is very critical that you need to declare some of those holidays because your workers will be mandated by the law not to work. And in that case, it can affect the scheduling or the durations of the project. So make sure that you're going to declare those holidays. So in this case, that is July the 4th. Okay. And then, of course, following the Independence Day is the Labor Day, which is usually the first Monday in the month of September. So we have first Monday, or probably second Monday in the month of September. All right, so that is how you're going to uh, modify and add holidays. Okay, so what I want you to do now is click OK. All right, so the next thing you have to do now is to set the start date of your project. So to do that, what to do is go back again into your project tab, and then you have to go into the properties group and say it's your project information. Okay, This is also the same step to where you will be required to assign the calendar that you created. Again, even if you created the calendar for the project, but if you didn't assign that to your project, then you will not be able to declare some of those holidays to the project that you will be working on. So it is important that you need to assign the calendar that you created to the project that you will be working on. So into this particular dialog box here, make sure that you have to start declare the start date of the project. So in this case, let me start that tomorrow. Okay, we will let the computer calculate when will be the finish date of the project. But one thing that I want to emphasize here is the calendar. So what I want you to do is make sure that you are going to assign or select the calendar that you created. So in this case, I have here the examples. Okay, and that will be the thing. Only thing that you have to do now to set up the start date and assigning the calendar. All right, and then click OK. Once you have that, you are now ready to enter those task names. So again, it is very critical for you to make sure that before you start your project, make sure that you're going to declare auto schedule so that the computer will help us unless you are expert, you mastered MS Project, that allowing you to move around some of those activities. Well and good, but if it is your first time, I'd advise you to make sure that you set it to auto schedule. Make sure that you create the calendar for you to be able to declare the holidays. Third, make sure that you're going to provide the start date of the project as well as to assign the calendar that you create. All right, so, with all of those things in place, what I need to do now is to enter the various tasks. But before I move on, there's one thing that I want to emphasize here, the difference between a table and a view bar. Now, if you will be asked to bring out or provide a report of a certain table, what to do is just go into the select all button over here on the upper left corner. So what to do is just right click that and this will show you those various table that you will be needing. Okay. Now, if you are required to print out a particular view, what to do is just go into the view bar and find whatever that view that you want to print. So in this case, if you don't see it here, you can also click this downward arrow or chevron, okay, until you will find. But if you don't find still that particular view that you're looking for, what to do is just click the more views. When you click the more views, it provides you here more other views that you might be interested. So take note, there is a table and there is a view. If you're required to show a table or enter informations into a table, make sure they have to go into that all select button on the upper left, right click, and it will show you those different table. And if you are required to print or show a particular view, you have to look at that onto the view bar. All right. So you are now ready to enter some uh, tasks. So in this case, let me start with planning. Okay. And under the planning, I will have secure financing. Okay. And then purchase water. And then once you have those, you can now start with the foundation, dig foundation. All right. This is just an example. Okay. You will have a more realistic example later on. So, all right, concrete, and then exterior, frame house. All right. So you will notice on the task mode here, you will know if it is a manual scheduling or if it is an auto schedule. If we have a question mark or exclamation mark here, that is manual. But if you see here a blue with an arrow, that signify it is an auto schedule. In the next lecture, I will be showing you how you are going to create a relationship of those activities, as well as how you're going to enter the duration and how you're going to make a summary task. Say, for example, if secure financing and purchase ladder are activities that are under planning, the only thing you have to do is go to the task, and then the indent and the outdent allow you to create that summary task. Okay, say for example, in this case here, there is a distinguishing between planning and secure financing purchase lab. These two activities here, those are what we call the subgroup. Planning is what we call the summary activity, okay, and it is usually in bold letters. Okay, all right. So in the next lesson, I am going to show you how you're going to create a relationship, as well as to enter those durations and complete this particular task. All right. See you then.